I moved into the cabin because I wanted silence. Not the kind you get in a quiet neighborhood where cars still pass and lights still flicker behind curtains. I wanted real silence, the kind that only exists where there are no streetlights, no neighbors, and no one expecting you to answer a door. The cabin sat deep in the woods, nearly 2 hours from the nearest town. It was old but well kept. Solid wood walls, a small porch, one bedroom, a wood stove in the center that creaked and popped when the fire settled. There was no cell service. That was a selling point. I worked remotely, wrote in my spare time, and needed a place where days could blur together without interruption. The nearest road was far enough away that I couldn't hear it, even at night. At first, the isolation felt like relief. Mornings were quiet, afternoons passed slowly. At night, the forest pressed in around the cabin like a dark ocean. I told myself I was alone. That was the first mistake. The first week passed without incident. I chopped wood, cooked simple meals, read by lantern light after sunset. The forest had its own rhythm, and I began to fall into it. The sounds at night didn't bother me at first. Wind through branches, distant animal calls, leaves shifting under unseen movement. Those sounds belonged there. It wasn't until the 8th night that I noticed something else. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the fire die down in the stove. The cabin was dark except for the faint orange glow from the embers. That's when I heard footsteps, not outside, on the porch, slow, heavy, one step, then another. I sat up, heart racing. Animals climb porches sometimes. Raccoons, deer, even bears, according to the previous owner. I told myself that's all it was. Then the footsteps stopped directly outside the front door. No scratching, no sniffing, just stillness. I waited. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Eventually, I lay back down and convinced myself it had been nothing. The woods have a way of making you imagine patterns where there are none. The next morning, I opened the door cautiously. The porch was empty. No tracks, no marks, nothing disturbed. That night it happened again. Footsteps on the porch, same pace, same weight. But this time I noticed something unsettling. They stopped in the exact same spot, right in front of the door. As if whoever or whatever it was knew exactly where to stand. I stayed still, barely breathing. After a long moment, the footsteps moved away, circling the cabin slowly, disappearing into the forest. I didn't sleep much after that. Over the next few nights, the sounds continued, always at night, always on the porch. Sometimes they circled the cabin. Sometimes they stopped at the window near the bed, but they never tried to get inside. That was somehow worse. It felt like waiting. On the 12th day, I noticed something different. I had gone for a walk in the afternoon, following a narrow trail behind the cabin. When I returned, I froze. The front door was unlocked. I was certain I had locked it. I always locked it. I stood there for a long time listening. Nothing. The cabin looked exactly as I had left it. No signs of entry, no missing items. Still, that night, I moved a chair against the door before going to bed. The footsteps came again. They stopped at the door. Then something new happened. I heard breathing right outside the door. Slow, controlled, not labored, not animal, human. I felt my stomach drop. I didn't move. I didn't speak. The breathing continued for what felt like hours, then finally faded into the night. The next morning I found footprints, bare footprints, leading from the tree line to the porch and stopping there. No footprints leading away. I packed a bag that day. I told myself I would leave the next morning. That night was the worst. The footsteps came earlier than usual. They didn't stop at the porch. They climbed the steps slowly. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. The door handle moved, not forcefully, just enough to test it. I gripped the axe I kept beside the bed, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The handle stopped moving. Then a voice spoke, soft, calm, almost familiar. "You don't need to lock it." I didn't scream. I didn't respond. The voice sighed. "I've been here longer than you." I left before sunrise. I didn't look back. I drove until my hands stopped shaking. Weeks later, I told a ranger about the cabin. He listened quietly, then asked me a single question. "Did the previous owner tell you why he left?" I said no. The ranger nodded slowly. "That cabin's been empty a long time," he said. "People never stay." "Why?" I asked. He looked out toward the trees. "Because it doesn't like being alone."